this picture and understand what is growth mindset and what is the difference between a growth mindset and a fixed mindset. Why we have introduced SQAAF. One thing is that nobody is judging you on the SQAAF score. So don't aim at getting a 4 everywhere as of now. Last time we have discussed that there are 4 ratings, 4 maturity levels, and 4 being highest, 1 being lowest. Don't think of doing or getting or marking 4 and thinking that it will give you some, kind of a status or value. It is called self assessment. So we need to assess ourselves. Where do we stand? It is okay if you stand at 1 at all the domains. There's no problem. So we need to improve ourselves. It is not that you will be, you'll get an award if you have 4, and if you have 1, you'll be penalized. It's nothing like that. It is just a growth continuum. So basically, it's a growth mindset, not a fixed mindset. That is what SCOAF is for. For example, there's something wrong which is going on, or you're just fixing everyday's problem. That is what needs to be shifted to a growth mindset. What will work? Where is the problem? Where do I stand now? What should I do to improve? And when I'm improving, how am I performing? Okay, am I performing in the right direction? So reflect back. That is the process. So a fixed mindset is always like whatever I'm doing, it's the best. The way I'm teaching, for example, I've been a teacher for a very long period of time. And being a teacher, this is a intricate personality trait that whatever we are teaching correct. Though we are teaching correct, but the recipients should also be understanding that. That is again another criteria that we need to gauge before we move and tell ourselves that we are good enough. So everywhere there's a scope of improvement. So we need to think that, is this my best work? All my learners are learning. If you are a school leader, then you have to think, oh, is my school performing well on all the parameters which are there? What I need to improve myself. So upon this ideology, SCOAF has been built. Again, SCOAF has a purpose of encouraging self-reflection. So you have to reflect back. You have to have accountability of what you are doing and how you're doing, collaborate and innovate. This is a motto of SCOAF. This we have talked about in the previous session as well, but I have kept it. Just a revisit on different domains. These are the 7 domains SCOAF has. The first domain being curriculum, pedagogy, and assessment. Infrastructure being the second. Human resources being the third. Inclusive practices being the fourth. Management and governance being the fifth. Sixth is leadership, and seventh is beneficiary satisfaction. Beneficiary includes all the stakeholders, be it parents, be it teachers, be it school management, and be it children. So if you can see, every domain does not have equal weightage. The first domain, curriculum, pedagogy, and assessment, has got 40% weightage, and rest 6 domains have 10% weightage each. That is self-explanatory that this is the most important domain which we are going to discuss today. So if I ask you, before we go there, what I just want to take you to the process flow once again. So we have domains, like these were the domains. These are the domains. Under each domain, we have subdomain. Under each subdomain, we have standards. Under each standards, we have performance indicators and levels. Today, I'll show you the book as well, the handbook, wherein you can go and check what are the performance level indicators. Against each indicator, I have to specify what is my maturity level. Maturity level will range from 1 to 4. And to say that I have a maturity level, say 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, I should be having evidences and records. So these will back the maturity level as per the performance indicators. So if I talk about curriculum, pedagogy, and assessment, I would invite you to write in the chat box what, according to you, is the main purpose or the advantage of a good curriculum and a good pedagogy. Right now, I'm not asking about assessment. I want you to write in the chat box what could be the benefit of a good curriculum. Waiting for your responses. Holistic development. Thank you, Sangeeta ma'am. Learning outcomes that suit objectives. Very nice. Student-centric. Center point. Yes, curriculum is the center point. What else? Some quick responses. Diverse needs. Very nice. Holistic development, overall development of students, catering to self-development, very nice. Quality of education improvement, child-centric learning, great. So you as an audience understand that curriculum is the soul of a school, no? And the way pedagogy is the way the curriculum is transmitted to our sweet little kids, how it is being transmitted to the children so that they develop and they get prepared for this world. Okay, so last time we also have discussed that for making the children a global citizen, understanding what is going on, giving them skills is what is the purpose of curriculum. So we are looking for academic excellence for our students with a range of inclusive and innovative policies and well-defined outcomes. Very, very important. There's a lot of focus. If you have gone through NCF, there's a lot of focus on the learning outcomes. So there are learning objectives. There's a journey. Learning objectives, which are defined in the curriculum, from learning objectives to learning outcomes, which is like the things learned by a child, which allows for holistic, cohesive, and free learning spaces for learners. So that the learning space, which is the school for us, should be holistic, it should be cohesive, and it should be free. Why free? What is the meaning of free? That means they have the freedom to choose what they're going to learn, how they're going to learn, and how much they're going to learn. Every child learns at their own pace. So that is also important. We don't have to the growth mindset talks about not comparing ourselves with the rest of the kids, but comparing ourselves with the previous version of us. So what we were yesterday, what we have learned today, and how can we improvise ourselves the other day. That is why it is called free learning spaces, because the child is learning on its own space. Many student-friendly systems and operatives that makes education a functional and living entity are a part of academic and non-academic processes and products. Why I'm reading this? Because this is written in the SQAAF and I want you to understand what does it mean. Now, the teachers who are going to impart the curriculum, who are going to apply the pedagogy, they should have in-depth knowledge of their subjects, that is mandatory. Plus, they should also know how students learn. That is why we are talking about student-centric education, not teacher-led education, yeah, teacher-centric education. Now, the learning environments should also be positive classrooms. Teacher-student interaction should be there. New methodologies, integration of arts, sports, values, life skills in the teaching learning process. Interdisciplinary approaches so that the child understand how English can be used in mathematics or how mathematics can be used in science. And this is all to attain learning outcomes, informal assessments also to measure student development. So it's not only the pen and paper test, it's also informal assessments. I have got some exemplars today for informal assessments also. Continual upgrade by staff on their knowledge. So we are talking about capacity building for teachers, then their competency and skills, inclusivity, and building a culture of innovation in our school. So these all are the descriptors of a strong curricular, pedagogical, and assessment policy in place. So under this domain one, we have 7 subdomains. I'll quickly go through it. What are the domains, subdomains, and what are they specifically talking about? I know we can't have much of activities over here because this is more of understanding, topic. So you have to have a patience and listen carefully so that while you are reading the document, you will not face any problem. So under the domain 1, we have subdomain, which is 1.1 curriculum planning. So you need to plan the curriculum. Now, from where will you plan the curriculum? From the basics which you were doing and the recommendations of NCF and NEP. So NCF very specifically till foundation has specified the competency goals. For middle school, also they have a little bit of competency goals specified, not very detailed, and they are yet to come for the senior grades. The school leaders and teachers should be familiar with the curriculum documents. Now, there are many documents. There is NCRT Learning Objective, there is NCF, there is NEP, there is UNICEF material. There are a lot of documents published by CBSE, pedagogical methodologies published by CBSE. School leaders and teachers should be familiar with those documents. The school integrated ACPP, which is Annual Curriculum and Pedagogical Plan, should reflect the recommendations of the board. And the curriculum development skills and ability which prepare students for lifelong learning. So this is just a statement, but it has a lot included in this. Fosters global citizenship leading to attainment of sustainable development goals. I hope all of you are aware about SDGs. What are SDGs? Can some of you write in the chat box, what are SDGs? Kindly write in the chat box, what do you understand by SDGs? Sustainable development goals, but what is your understanding of that? What are they? Why are they required? So we have the full form. I'm looking for the need of SDGs. What is the need? What is the need of SDG? So sustainability development goals are being formulated by United Nations, and they want to preserve the resources for future generation. So for preserving the resources for future generation, we need to rectify the way we are living today. Fine. So those things which needs to be changed or which needs to be taken care of are covered under sustainable development goals. There are 17 sustainable development goals. Yes, some of you are mentioning correctly. It's economic growth, it's zero hunger, no poverty, gender equality, infrastructure, clean water and sanitation, health and well-being. Yes. We need to take care of life on land, life and water. All these comes under SDG goals. You don't have to take it as a different subject. For example, you're teaching a water chapter. You can include a sustainability development goal activity into it. You're teaching, a story based on gender equality. Maybe Kalpana Chawla going into space. Then you talk about gender equality. So the next subdomain is teaching learning process. Now, what are the teaching learning processes? They have to follow They have to follow the one which are being mentioned, the number of teaching days, the number of teaching hours, student-teacher ratio, as per the state norms and the union territory government norms. Then teachers are empowered to adopt various teaching learning approaches. So they should be open, they should be understanding about what are the teaching learning processes, approaches which they need to follow to cater to the needs of their students. So the student may happily learn with a role play. So they should have the freedom to use that as a teaching tool. They need to create a conducive environment for joyful learning. Again, very, very important term is happy learning or joyful learning. So the children need to be happy while they are learning. They should be enjoying the process of learning. It shouldn't be a burden, right? Then NCRT defined learning outcomes should be followed for all the classes as success criteria. That means they should be minimally fulfilled for being implementing the curriculum. The next is student enrichment, skill-based vocational education program embedded in the ACPP. This is basically for the vocational education starts with grade 6. So the vocational education part is from grade 6. But when I talk about skill starts from the very beginning. The child enters into the school. So even the foundation stage, even the preparatory stage should focus on skill development. There should be integration with art, integration with sports. The vocational education program should focus on entrepreneurship skills and employability skills. Many a times we feel that while working, we have not been taught all this, how to talk to people, how to work on conflicts with your peers, how to put forth your point when in group discussions. We are not being taught all this in the schools. While we were in schools, we were just going for rote memorization and putting everything on the paper. But this is not the case. Now we are talking about internships also, apprenticeship also. Students should learn critical thinking skills, creative skills, scientific skills, communication skills to be employable. They don't have to struggle there. Then they should be digitally equipped. They should have financial knowledge. They should understand what is citizenship. So all these things, and fourth, very important is health literacy. NCF and NEP both are focusing on health and well-being. This being a domain in NCF. Excuse me. And the life skill development program, which makes our children ready for the future. Think they should be focusing on thinking, social, and emotional skills. Then the fourth subdomain being physical education and sport. As I was mentioning, NCF is promoting health and physical education a lot. They are concerned about the well-being of our children. So health and well-being in the form of physical education deeply embedded in the curriculum. So teaching and learning of PE, sports, yoga, and other fitness activity. Then this should be an important aspect of the school. Values and ethos. That's the fifth subdomain. Now, again, this is somehow linked with the SDG goals only. So climate care, compassion, respect, welcoming diversity, tolerating different cultures, people from different areas. The school inculcates pride towards Indian heritage and civilization. We as Indians know that we have a rich cultural background. In fact, not only cultural, we have good, rich scientific background as well. If we go back and look into our past, we were one of the pioneers in many things, and we have contributed to the society, to the global society a lot. But somehow we have started running after something else and leaving behind our Indian knowledge system. So NCF is focusing on Indian knowledge system as well. The second last subdomain is student performance and assessment. This is all based on assessments, how to assess, how to make a rubric, how to get a feedback and a feed forth. So, how to do all these things. I think, this is the area where we are not that equipped, and we need to understand how can we assess our learners, not only the basis of some FAs or essays. It should be an overall assessment throughout the year. Every class should be an assessment for our children. So we can have assessment for learning, assessment as learning, and assessment of learning. So once we have assessment for learning, it is like we are trying to understand where our learners stand as of now. What is their prior knowledge? What do they know about the topic? Assessments as learning would be something like, while I am teaching, I am assessing how much my learners are capturing. Are they able to understand or not? And assessment of learning will be a step forward wherein the teaching process has been ended, and now they have to implement whatever they have learned. For this, NCF is also mentioning the process of Panchpadi, which is the 5-step process of teaching, wherein we have Bodh, Aditi, and Aditi, Bodh, and then we have Prayog, Prasar. These are the 5 steps which Panchpadi is also mentioning. Then assessment of skills and competencies. Apart from the subjects, we should have assessment of skills and competencies also, like visual and performing arts, life skills, values, vocational skills, and so forth and so on. And all these things should take a place in HPC, which is the holistic progress card. The school also uses the result of some, it's for example, National Achievement Services or SAFL, some third-party assessment tools. The last subdomain focuses on early childhood care and education, which is like foundation literacy and numeracy. This is basically for the foundation stage. So the foundation stage should be defined. It should not be considered as a classes which are not important. The parents, the students, the teachers should focus a lot, because the base building, that is why they are known as foundation, because the base building is done in these 5 classes. Now there are 5 classes in foundational level, which is like pre-primary 1 or nursery, LKG and UKG, grade 1 and 2. Grade 1 and 2 are also have also become a part of foundation. It's no more a part of primary. So we don't have a primary level. Now we have foundation and we have preparatory. Now preparatory is like grade 3, 4, and 5. I hope these subdomains are clear. These 7 subdomains will have their key indicators. I have not included the pictures over here. I'll take you straight forward to SQAAF handbook only, so that you understand how things are have to be read primarily. Just give me a moment. I hope my SQAAF handbook is visible. Can one of you please comment in the chat box? Has the window changed?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Fine. So this is SQAAF handbook. I hope you all are aware of SQAAF handbook, where it is available. I'll help you out in how to decode and read it, because most of the documents which are coming off lately are quite bulky. This is also a 300-page document. So it is like we are going to read NCF for foundation level, which is 300 pages. Then the NCF for school education, which is 600 pages. Then, NCRT learning outcomes. Then we have the SCOAF handbook, which is like so bulky. So how are you going to read? So I recommend the school leaders and the principals to keep printed copies of these documents in your library. uh, your staff, whenever they have time, or they can have their roster, like when they're reading, what they're reading, what is their learning. They can start, even if they start reading 2-3 pages a day, they will be, by the end of the year, one academic year, they can be having knowledge of more than 3 to 4 manuals or books. Fine. So I'll take you through SQAAF. Give me a moment. Okay. So this is something like domain 1. We have just discussed what are its subdomains. And then these, from here, we on page number 19, we're going to start with the performance indicators. We have taken this as an example in our previous session also. So if you can see my domain 1, curriculum, pedagogy, and assessment, what are the performance indicators for subdomain 1.1? So for example, 1.1 is curriculum planning, and my standard here is that principals and teachers are familiar with the spirit and content of NCF. Now, which level you are at, you have to see with this indicators. Now, has your school read, everybody has read NEP and NCF documents and engaged in discussions? So how you will make sure that they have done it? That's why I was recommending that you keep printed copies of NEP and NCF in your library. Make sure your teachers are going and they're reading respective material according to their the stage, whether the teacher is of foundation stage, so they should have read NCF of foundation level. If a teacher is of science, they should have, and taking middle school, they should have read the school education NCF and the science section. So that way you should keep a roster, and that will form as an evidence. So if you have done this, and school leaders have identified the key recommendations. Now, as a leader, you have identified what are the key recommendations of NEP and NCF, and they are noted down. There's a minute of the meeting after discussion. You have prepared MOMs and you have in writing, because all this should have an evidence that yes, you have done it. So then you will be at level, let me just annotate. You will be, sorry, you will be at level 1. Now, if you have done all this, then you can jump to level 2. Now, here you have to see whether an orientation program has been done for the teachers or not. They have done the discussions or not. Then there's also an orientation program for the parents. Now, these are the 2 criteria to be in level 2. If you've done this, you are at level 2. If you haven't done this, if you are still, you have done it for teachers, but not for the parents. So what you have to do, on page 285, there's a annexure which talks about school improvement plan. So here you will write that domain 1, subdomain 1.1, key performance indicator is what? That you have, you have the essence. The school has an essence of NCF. The level of maturity is 1. Your aspirational level, for example, is 3. For that, what you have to do, you have to arrange a parent orientation for NEP and NCF. What is the priority? Priority is say medium. When are you going to take? What is the proposed action? Who's the responsible person? And what is the timeline for completion? Say by October 24, we are going to maintain this, have this parent orientation on NCF. So this will create a checklist for what you have to do. We'll go back here again and see what we need to do to be in level 3, because we were aiming for level 3 in 24-25. So teachers integrate recommendation of NCF and NEP in their lesson plans. Now, in your lesson plans, you should implement the essence of NEP and NCF. These lesson plans are reviewed regularly. So you should have a reviewing schedule ready with your coordinators or school leaders, whosoever is reviewing it. Then there should be classroom observations, and you should have the data of classroom observation. What all classes have been observed, what was the observing values, and what gaps have been identified, what were recommended for fulfilling those gaps. So feedback and feed forward is given to teachers at regular interval to improve teaching learning process. Since we were aiming here for level 3, so one was parent orientation, then the other would be, say for example, you're doing these two, but you're not doing classroom observations. So you will create a schedule for classroom observation now. I hope this is clear how you have to read and mark yourself. For this year, the kind of SQAAF form that you have to fill, you will mark yourself 1 because you have not done these two things or the parent orientation thing. Fine. Is it clear? You cannot directly, if you have, if you have done the orientation program for teachers, but your teachers have not read, you don't have any evidence of teachers reading these documents, you cannot go to level 2. I hope this is clear how you have to read it. Any question till now? Because this is very important. I'm not going to take each and every this pointer. This is how you're going to carry forward. So your school improvement plan, Harpreet ma'am, do you have a question here? Please ask your question. What is not clear? Miss Harpreet, or you can park your question, you can ask later on. Okay. Okay. See, these are the challenges, Miss Deepika, what you're talking about, floating population of teachers. That's a challenge. So where to get improvement plan? This improvement plan within the same document of SQAAF, you have on page, let me show you. This is page 285. This is annexure F, page 285. What are the parameters of classroom observation? You have to look for, there are different formats for classroom observations. There are different templates. We will try to compile the templates, few of the templates, and put it and share it with you in the last session. So from there, and those templates will be suggestive. You can change them. Fine. Okay, now I'll move forward. So if you see on the next page, there are proposed documents that can be reviewed by the school for implementing this. Now, if you're making a school curriculum and pedagogical and assessment policy for each grade, now this is also a requirement. You will see further, this is also a requirement. Then ACPP is definitely a requirement. I have taken some samples of ACPP from some schools, and I'll try to show you what are the good things and what are the best things, best practices that they are following. And you can pick up, those are freely available. You can download it and you can have your measured against them. Then you should have these documents, annual assessment and examination calendar, curriculum policy. So this will also give you a checklist of the documents you have to prepare and what all you have to put into that. Fine. That will also come, like NCF is also focusing a lot on innovation. So, what is your innovation policy? How you're working on innovation? Similarly, I've told you about health and wellness. What is your health and wellness calendar? What are you talking? How you are implementing health and wellness in your organization? No, what is health and what is wellness? I hope you understand the difference. Wellness is physical wellness as well as your mental wellness. So, if you are arranging a counseling session for your grade 9, 10th children before the exams, if you have a school counselor which is talking to kids, any kid can go to her during exam or in any situation where they're feeling stress or anxious, that would be something like health and wellness. So, somebody as a counselor has to, schedule activities for kids during the calendar year, the academic year of the school, the activities based on health and wellness. Then what is the growth record of our kids? Student performance enhancement records. In IEP is individual education plan. So every child has its own, like I have told you that every child learns at its own pace. Though here we are talking about gifted children or the children with special needs, but even normal children, they also learn. Somebody is good with math, somebody is good with English. The same child who's good with English may not be good with maths. Now what needs to be done? So you as a teacher should be able to assess all the kids that you have in your class and prepare a individual plan for them. I hope this is clear. There are many documents. Let us take up any of the indicator. Okay. For example, the school integrated, this is the substandard. The school integrated ACPP reflects the recommendations of the board. Fine. So there should be a syllabus bifurcation. The monthly syllabi plan should be there and it should be shared with the parents. Orientation program should be held for teachers of all stages to acquaint them with the curriculum and the pedagogical and assessment approaches as are mentioned in NEP and NCF. Again, discussions are conducted with teachers on the format to be adopted while designing the ACPP. And a draft of the ACPP is prepared subject-wise. Now, I would like you to see ACPP, but before that, I'll read this level 3 as well because this is talking about the 21st century skills. This is talking about making connections between different subjects. That means it is talking about uh, projects and activities which are multidisciplinary in nature. Fine. So this, I'll show you. This is for a school. So regular information. What are the key strengths of the school? They have just mentioned the key strengths. Now there is another school which has done full SWOT analysis. So I hope you're aware what is SWOT analysis. This is strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threat. The SWOT analysis they have done. So we have the strength of there are various strengths of the school. So good interpersonal relation, good parent-teacher rapport, well-equipped lab, good ambience, peaceful environment. There are certain weaknesses of the school, change of mindset, more encouragement to staff. So what you can make out is that they have started reflecting on their school, how they're moving ahead. So now they may not be able to utilize the lab properly. So they feel that better utilization of lab is important. They need to work on this. What are the opportunities? Professional upgradation is a continuous process in the school. They must be arranging trainings regularly. Then teaching faculty is strengthened through vigorous training programs, freedom to carry out innovative ideas. And those innovative ideas are encouraged and appreciated. And students also get opportunities to innovate. What are the threats? Threats could be time management, completion of syllabus, adjustment in switching over from online to offline and vice versa, and so on. So they have done the complete SWOT analysis, and you have another example where they have just talked about the key strengths. Okay, so you need to do complete SWOT analysis. Then you have to talk about the pedagogical planning committee. Who all are involved in that committee? When did the meetings happen? What were the points? These are called MOMs, minutes of the meetings. What did you discuss? What is the outcome? What is the next action plan? In the vision and mission, what is the pedagogical vision? I want you to look at this. These are the academic resources. What all academic resources they have? They have an art center, music center, science and nature center, activity room, library, and so on. And how they're going to utilize it. Then if I move forward, pedagogical strategies. So if I'm talking about 21st century skills, I'm talking about 4 C's, which are mentioned in NEP: creativity, collaboration, critical thinking, and communication. So how you're going to implement this? So I really liked how they have created this as a table so that we have, real-time view of what all has been done and what all is left. So for example, grade 1 in English, they'll be doing collaborative learning. This could be more detailed. This you can make it a more detailed version of this. So collaborative learning in what sense? Are they going to do a project? Are they going to do some research? What are they going to do? Fine. Subject 2 in Punjabi, they're going to learn grouping and pairing method. Then in Hindi, they're going to learn storyboarding. Then EVS, they'll go out in fields. They'll do outdoor learning. And in mathematics, they'll be learning with visuals and images. Grade 2, on the other hand, will have collaborative learning, grouping and pairing, show and tell in Hindi, then outdoor learning in show and show and tell new concepts in mathematics. So subject-wise, class-wise, what all new things they're going to add, they have mentioned over here. Similarly, if you see there, the other exemplar, so they have descriptors. Engaging in teachers' professional development. This is their target. Now, this is like self-reflecting. Where are we now as a school? What do we need to do in the coming year? How will we achieve what we want to do? Who is responsible? What is the timeline for implementing it? And what will the impact look like? So they are talking about actionable items. They're also talking about subjects, I suppose. This is from this format is from NCRT pedagogical structure, CBSE pedagogical methodologies. This particular format is from there. They are not talking about subjects as such. They're talking about various descriptors. For example, initiating innovation in schools. Now, how will you initiate innovation in school? What they have done, they have had a fully equipped Atal Tinkering Lab, ATL lab. What do we need to do in the coming year? They need to promote a positive mindset where failure is seen as a stepping stone. Now, if I do this, we need to promote a positive mindset where failure is seen as a stepping stone to success. Apart from innovation, what are they teaching? Can I have some inputs? What are they teaching? What are they, in fact, not teaching, making learners learn? Yes. Growth mindset, great. What else? Life skills. Which life skill particularly? Learning from mistakes, very nice. Remedial classes. No, we're talking about very nice problem solving skills, connecting to real world. We are making them resilient. We are making them with a progressive mindset. Okay, this time I'm not able to do, I'll do it next time. What didn't work? Where was the problem? Okay, so problem solving skills, solutions, decision making, all these are working here. So life skills will go hand in hand with whatever activities you're doing. Fine. Then how will we achieve what we want to do? Challenge teachers to try innovative pedagogies and opportunities and provide them, excuse me, with opportunities to reflect on their experiences, showcase the innovation in the website, local newspapers. This is all publicity. To provide incentives and show appreciation by giving away certificates and cash prizes, providing opportunities like Genius. Now, this is for kids. Providing opportunities like Genius R, Coding R, STEM Lab, etc. Encourage and support teachers to try out new ideas. Now, teachers will try out, then they'll throw challenges to kids, and there they will start innovating things. I hope this is clear. So this way you can have your ACPP, annual curriculum and pedagogical plan. What all subjects, in what all classes, what new things you're going to use. See, they have created a classroom observation schedule as well. So classroom observation, routine observation and specific observation. Routine observations are regular. Specific observations are yearly basis, done by whom. So there's a specialist also coming from outside. And what are the findings? What, and how then from here only the corrective measures will come. I hope this is clear. We'll come back here. So once my current status. So as of now till March 31st, the first task should be that you sit with your team as school leader and go through the SQAAF handbook, mark where do you stand. No? What is the maturity level in each subdomain, subdomain? What is the maturity level that you have? So once you do that, you have your scorecard ready. And during the time when you're marking, you fill your annual pedagogical, the template for self-improvement plan. So you know what all you have to put where. Then after that, you should start working on your ACPP, that your annual curriculum plan for your school and rest of the documents and start planning the activities. So that's about curriculum and pedagogy. Now I want to talk a little bit about assessments. So let me take you to assessments. So I think that is 1.6. Yeah. Yeah, 1.6. Fine. So 1.6 subdomain is about assessment. Fine. So this is about attendance, and then we have multiple modes of assessment. So I want you to see one of the example which is given as a case study on SQAAF website. This is ACPP plan for grade 7. Subject is social science. Now this is much more detailed than what we have just seen. So topic and number of periods and when they're going to take. So in April, this is detailed version. So the topic is environment. Subtopic is type of environment and ecosystem. Number of periods they're going to give is 5. And when are they going to do is April. Now, what are the learning outcomes? These are the learning outcomes. If you see, identify the different components of the environment. So a child should be able to identify what are the different components, then analyze different ecosystem, evaluate the effects of human interaction on environment. For example, these are the learning outcomes. Now, what you will do for these learning outcomes? For example, if I give a project, I ask them to go and research about and create a project on evaluating the effects of human interaction, how human is interacting with its environment. Okay, so this is the approach, a project method approach. So there are different approaches which are being mentioned in NCF. One is project method, then the other is problem solving method. So there could be different methods by which you'll be teaching. So this is the innovative teaching methodology. What are the activities and strategies they are going to do? They're going to make concept maps. They'll be researching. They'll be designing a rubric. Now, what is a rubric? How will you design a rubric? Here also, this is being treated as an assessment tool. Now, there's not going to be a test for this chapter. They'll be doing a project. During that project, they're going to study as well the chapter. They're going to research and there'll be a connection with the real life. They'll be creating a portfolio maybe of the picture or the instances or the case studies they're getting. They must be presenting in a particular way. They must be maintaining something in their notebook. They'll be collecting articles. They should be creating a concept map. Okay. So these are the things through which we are going to assess. So these will become tools. Now, what are the resources? You have to create rubric for the project. You have to give a sample of concept map. You have to give a sample of checklist as a teacher, okay, to them. This is the video they should be seeing. And you should also be helping them. So your role will get transformed from a teacher to a facilitator. You are no more a teacher now. You are a facilitator. You have handholded them, give them things, give them tools, and they'll start working on their own. So if you have done this, you are doing this as a peer project. That means two children, they're doing it together. You are doing it collaboratively as a pair. Again, if you make 3 to 4 to 5 kids and you make a group, that would become a group project. So you are teaching collaboration. You can see there's innovation and creativity which is coming up because every group will create their concept map in a different way, maybe their portfolio in a different way. There'll be critical thinking, and you might ask your kids to present this. That will become communication. Even if they're writing, that's a form of a written communication. So my all 4 C's will be completed. When they're going to see the impact, they might be creating graphs, they might be writing. So while in geography or social sciences, they are understanding how geography or social sciences is linked with mathematics, how this is linked with linguistic, because they need to express themselves in the form of words. So this become interdisciplinary, this becomes collaborative. This is on the ethos of 4 C's. The children are working together, so they are also learning life skills, how to listen to others, how to be empathetic towards others. Okay, then they are understanding what are the real world problems as well, and they're getting acquainted with SDGs also. So it's just one activity or one chapter, and we are getting so many things which we need to assess in our scope, which are being mentioned in our scope handbook. So I hope this is clear how these things have to be implemented. Any question till here? Any question? I'll take 10 minutes more. I want you to understand, if as a teacher, if your teachers are not able to make rubric, what is something how to, with the help of AI, they can have rubrics with them. Do we have to upload improvement plan somewhere? No, ma'am, not right now. We don't have to upload the improvement plan, but we have to have it. We should keep it in the school. CBSE representatives can come and they can ask for it. So whatever maturity level we are marking, we should have evidences for that. We should have evidences for our improvement plan also. So you start doing it along with marking your maturity levels. I hope till now this is clear how one activity can act as an assessment, how to do the assessment. So I have completed SQAAF handbook. Then I have completed the ACPP. Then we are talking about assessments, and I want you to have a look at the NCF also. This is a case study which is given on page 266 of NCF SE, which is like 266. So this is a rubric. So this is an activity. For example, there's a poem. There's a poem. So, so in NCF, you'll find certain case studies. This is one of the case study. This is given by a teacher. So the teacher teaches language to grade 7. She want to assess her children's ability to understand poems. For that, she has taken a poem. She has selected that and they'll be able to read it and understand from an external source. Fine. So she's, first of all, she's checking whether they can read the poem independently and respond to questions based on it. So she has not explained. She has asked the children to read the poem on their own, and then she'll be asking certain questions. Now, this is the rubrics which she has created. What are the number of questions each child has answered? If these are the set of questions, 4 questions. If a child answers all 4 questions correctly, partially answers till 4 questions, or answers only 1 or 2 questions. So these are the grades. Now grade 4 being highest. So can the child, this is the criteria. See, these are the criterias. And these are the indicators. The same way we are doing. For us, level 1 is like the lowest. Here, level A is again the lowest and grade D is the highest. So, identifying number of questions answers, identifying new words and framing sentences, are they able to do it? So, a child who can identify all the new words and frame grammatically correct sentences will be awarded grade D. One who identifies and frames sentences, but there are some grammatical errors, will be identified as grade C. Identifies new words but is able to frame meaningful sentence, but is unable to frame meaningful sentences, will be awarded as grade B. Now, what is the improvement plan for the kid? That you will understand what all grammatical mistake the child has done. Now, you have, as a teacher, you will be helping the child to overcome those grammatical concepts. No? Now, maybe this child doesn't need it. That is why individual education plan is required. Okay. For this particular child who falls under grade C, he requires some grammatical, concepts to be retold or re-emphasized so that he doesn't do that mistakes and the concept is clear to that child. So this forms as a assessment. You don't have to take a test where children will cram the questions and vomit it on the answer sheet. So you are not doing that, but still you are able to make out where the gaps are. This is called rubrics. And So this can be under the category of informal assessment. So there are various examples which are given, various case studies given throughout the NCF. This is just one area which I have shown you. There are many case studies, even how to maintain the anecdotes of children in the foundation stage is also given. So if I just show you that, just I don't remember the page number. Just give me a moment. So I'll move on to assessment. This is on page 169. So if you will see, yeah. So sample anecdotal observation record for every child, this has to be maintained. So what was the context? What the teacher was teaching, the name of the child, date of observation. Okay, what is the age? What is the setting? And what is the observation, interpretation, and plan of action? Fine. This is how you're going to keep the anecdotal records of foundation stage. So that is assessment. I just want to give you a example of, for example, let me just see if I have it in rubric. Rubric I have explained. Just I'll get back. We have it here. Yeah. So you can take help of ChatGPT as a teacher and create the rubric. This is one prompt which I'm giving. Prepare a rubric for class 7th for a project based on grasslands to evaluate the effect of human interaction on environment. The one which we have done. So it will create a rubric. Just a minute. Make a rubric assessment. Okay. So these are the criterias which are coming up. Fine. So understanding of grasslands, do they understand? So these are the levels. Demonstrate understanding of what grasslands are and the significance in the ecosystem. Describe the characteristics of grasslands accurately and provides examples of different type of grasslands around the world. So all the one in bold are the headings, are the criterias, and these are the performance indicators which are there. Fine. Somehow it is not showing in the tabular form, but it shows usually in the tabular form. In the next academic year, we'll do how we can harness the power of AI and leverage it for our teaching and learning process. There'll be a webinar. So we'll be dealing there in detail how to create things and how to use AI in your teaching learning process. So that is in the planning phase. Let's see, we'll inform you when the session is happening, then you can take help of that. So once I go back, I'll talk about HPC for 2 minutes and then we can sign off. This is a reflection thing. I personally feel reflections are great tool. Once every child should be reflecting back. This is for maybe foundation stage, say grade 1 and 2. So a child is reflecting, the teacher has given an activity, my day in pictures, Drawing time is 15 minutes. You have to give each child a sheet of paper or a small notebook, and they'll be drawing a picture of themselves. So picture while waking up, while doing breakfast, while doing their favorite activity, and then they'll start sharing. Again, this activity will have all the four C's embedded in and they're reflecting as well. So there will be individual reflection as well as group reflection. Now I want just a quick glance of HPC. And before we talk about HPC, let me show you the CGs. Competency goals, yeah. So these are the competency goals which are mentioned in NCF, both the NCFs for foundation and for school education. Both the NCFs, for example, this is C1.5. Now, if you look at, sorry, the HPC, HPC is a complete portfolio of a child during a year. What is child as a person? What was his favorite things? Glimpse of him, his family. Now, these are the curriculum goals. These are mentioned in NCF. You can also align them with the curriculum that you're having. So you have to mention them and you have to tell the competency level, where do they stand in term 1 and term 2. So all the competencies based on 5 domains are there, different domains. There are 5 domains which are mentioned in NCF. All the 5 domains are covered over here. And there are 13 competency curriculum goals which are there. Then learner's profile by the teacher, by the parent, by himself, and by the peers. So all the stakeholders which are involved in the learning journey are giving their feedback. Then what is a learner portfolio? The best of his work with signatures and date. Now the competency levels can be beginner, progressing, and proficient. So they are taking 3 levels. They're asking not to give grades. They're asking to give neutral signs. For example, a flower with 3 petals will be beginner, with 4 is progressing, and with 5 is proficient. So that is what holistic progress card will look like. Any questions? That's all on domain 1. I would recommend that you go through a SQAAF document and go through all the parameters and indicators of domain 1. In case you face any problem, you can also write to us on a particular email ID. I'll just write in the chat box. So, info.teacherconnect2023@gmail.com. This is my email ID. You can get in touch in case you need some help, you want to understand something, something is not clear, or you want to know how to implement a particular performance indicator. So we can help you out. Thank you so much. Romy, are you there?
Yes, ma'am, I am here. Thank you everyone for your active participation. Thank you, Sweta ma'am, for such a wonderful session and spending your valuable time with us. I have shared.
Romy, just a minute. Somebody is asking for the PowerPoint presentation. I hope this session is streamed on YouTube.
Yes, ma'am.
So, ma'am, you can go to YouTube and check for Goyal Brothers Prakashan YouTube channel, and there you will find this webinar. I will try to collate all the document templates, and in the last session, I will provide a link wherein you can go and download all the related documents regarding this whole SQAAF thing. There was a question. We have 35 to 45 students in the class. How can we assess each and every child in 40 minutes? Definitely, ma'am, you cannot assess that. That's why even if you look at the NCF, there are recommendations for changes in the timetable also. So there's a time section. Kindly go to that, study that, and we can take up this question, Sakshi ma'am, next time once you are aware what NCF is talking about. How, and in case if you're not changing the timetable also, you can have block periods, as given in the timetable where you can help children to perform an activity and then you can assess them.
Ma'am, we also have another question. While
Yeah.
going through a SQAAF process, we had answered the questions where we have to upload the documents.
So I'll take up that. I'll show you the platform in the last session, how to do it. Fine. First, you start doing it with these sessions which are happening. You start marking your performance indicators and you start preparing your school improvement plan. That's what I suggest. Otherwise, I have shown you that on Saral website. Just a second. Let me share the link again. You have to give me a moment. So I am giving the link in the chat box. Here you can log in with your school ID and then you have to fill it. Fine. Thank you so much for being so patient and listening to me. If there are any questions, you can write back to me. And maybe in the next session also you can ask. Thank you so much. A very good evening to all of you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, ma'am.
Okay, bye-bye. I'm leaving.
Bye, ma'am.